solid for an extra.
Yes, it is the first film I ever did that was really for kids.
I always wanted to do a children's film, and especially since I have a child in the last 4 years. And a lot of times you think you want to do a children's film for the sake of doing one, but it might not be a good movie. And I read this, and it was a really good movie. And I thought, this is, an easy one. And I had done the TV show, a season of the voiceovers for the TV show with Britt, and taped those voices. And I really liked Britt. I thought that when you do a movie and you work with people that you respect and you think that they're onto something, and you like them personally, it makes it easy. I'm Mr. C. I'm the conductor, and like any basic children's story, or like many of them, someone goes on a journey to reclaim something that they've lost or forgotten from their childhood, which is Fonda. And Peter goes on this journey, and we are the 10-man cowardly lion, and so forth. I've had that journey for him to discover what he wants to discover, and alternately, like in that story and like in other stories, those characters themselves have their own journey. They're there not only to aid and abet the cause of the primary figure, but they themselves have some drama they're involved in. So Mr. C has this magical quality that he loses.
Tell me why you chose this project.
So I could shoot in Canada.
Liar.
I've always wanted to do a kids movie, and but I didn't want to do one for the sake of doing one. Mm-hmm. So this was a chance to do a project. I read the script because I had done the last round of the children's television shows.
You were the storyteller.
I did play the storyteller in the TV episodes. So she gave me the script, Britt, and I read it, and I said, this is really a good movie.
But Michael doesn't listen to a thing I say.
He just ignores you?
Nothing. We really do have a brother relationship. I tell him to do something, and he nods, and he acknowledges, he looks me in the eye, then he goes out and does exactly the opposite of what I tell him. And in that sense, he's just like Billy and Stephen and Danny. He is my fourth brother in that regard.
The missing Baldwin.
He is, yeah. Michael Baldwin. Yeah, he goes and does exactly the opposite of what I ask him to do, which I'm used to, that's fine. Anything that employs the kind of, I don't know what, the Lewis Carroll or anything you want to call it, the kind of fantastical elements of it, is something as simple as talking to Junior on the Bellflower phone, the scene where I have the phone call with him and he's at the beach that we shot, or the scenes in the Grove where they come around to the place that the story wants them to come to. Certainly among my favorite scenes of the movie are anything with Michael Rogers, I have to say. What's the word I'm thinking of? The unsinkable Michael Rogers. I love trains. I love that it was animation, but with figures, you know what I mean, not drawn. And I love the sweetness of it, I must say. I think Thomas is so good looking. Thomas is a great leading man in films. He's a very underappreciated leading man in films. I think he's better looking than George Clooney, quite frankly. But seriously, the thing that I liked most about the character was that I thought that he was fun and funny and just a little bit kind of playful. Sometimes you have characters that are positive characters for children that you want them to see, and they're not a lot of fun. And I think the most important thing about the Thomas series is that the characters within the program seem to be having fun with each other.
Well, tell me about Thomas the Tank. It's not Thomas the Tank. It's Thomas and the Magic Railroad. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I had Thomas the Tank on my mind. It's Thomas and the Magic Railroad.
I'm sure when Famke gets out here, we won't have this problem. But anyway, Thomas and the Magic Railroad is the film that I'm currently starring in, Jay. I'm happy to be here on the evening show with Jay Leno.
Is there... I would imagine there's... Well, here we have a clip. Now this... Now, this is very nice. No, it's a nice... And you can take your children. This is a nice thing here.
But what happens with these kids' movies, you do these kids' movies, and it's like, it's funny that even the parents are more tuned in because they're so hepped up about what their kids are going to see, that I have that, like, parents are yelling at me, go, hey, Alec, you're in Tommy the Tank, right? You know, they... I'm looking out for that one, Alec. I can't wait to take my kids. But this is Tommy the Tank.
Yeah, here. No. Here, take a look. Thomas and the... What is the matter? All righty, folks. It's Thomas and the Magic Railroad. It opens next Wednesday. Take your kids. Alec Baldwin. Thank you, Alec. Be right back with some contestants. And say hi to your lovely wife for me.
Lay all the scripts in front of you that are a possibility and say, well, what's the best movie? You know, and this was the best movie. This was the best one. Barring any, the content or the themes or who the people were, this was the best opportunity.
I think there is a hunger for family films, for films that you can take little children to see, and their older brothers or sisters and other members of the family won't get bored and they won't be embarrassed about going along to see the movie. So I think it's a good time for a movie like Thomas and the Magic Railroad. I've worked with Alec a couple of years back because he became, in America, Thomas's storyteller in the film on television. And we just had a great time, and he loves working for this project. His own daughter is a big fan. And so when you first heard that I was getting involved in making this movie, he wanted to be involved. So that was great.
Britt Allcroft, the film's writer, producer and director. Britt, quite an adventure for you.
Oh, yeah.
Your relationship with Thomas goes back some years, doesn't it? How did it all
20
start?
years.
20 years.
I was making a documentary about the British love affair with steam. And in the course of researching that, I came across these little books, and at that time there were just these little book called the Railway Series with these watercolour illustrations, and I just fell in love with the illustrations and I wanted to bring them to life. And it took 5 years to do that originally. I mean, there are now 130 films that I've made for the home screen. But it was tough, and had to raise a lot of money and persuade people that this would work. But I think, it has, and millions of children all over the world love Thomas.
But the fact that they were written 60 years ago, what have you actually had to do to the stories to make them acceptable to today's audience?
Well, of course, there are actually a lot of the stories which have been originally written by myself for the films on television, and those that were originally written by Wilbert. I think the thing is that kids live in a very fast-forward lane now, as I call it. Life is very loud and noisy and fast and very technological, which is good on the one hand, but human beings are still the same. And little children the world over are still the same in that they need some very fundamental things in life. They need a sense of adventure, they need fun, they need security.
And they're going to get all of that out of the film.
I hope so. Yes.
Britt, Michael, we've run out of time. I'm sorry about that, but it's great to see you, and I'm sure it will have encouraged everyone to go and see you.
This is a family film, but my goal is to make it totally accessible to little children, and there are some things which I think have to be communicated very simply. We have some big scenes today. We have the first morning of Lily's stay. He hears a dog barking, and he comes out and it's Mutt the dog, because he has the sixth sense that he's going to need to get characters to certain places in order that the story can have a happy ending. And then she meets Patch for the first time, who challenges her. He bets her that she can't climb a tree, and because she spends her life in the big city climbing up and down a fire escape, so she's able to go straight up it. And I think this impresses him quite a bit. And we have the first challenge by Boomer, who arrives back on the scene after all these years, and Burnett is his arch enemy. He's very jealous of him. And so he returns, and there's the exchange between Burnett and Boomer. It was a very important scene for me, and the way the story ends, it's I hope, very quintessential storytelling, and it leaves, I hope it will leave the audience with both a sense of sort of completeness, and it's bittersweet in some ways, because it is 20 years on. I wanted to start with a feeling of openness, both for the sake of the story and for the audience to get this sense, and again at the close, and to have a chance to see some of this glorious scenery. Oh, I think back very fondly to my times with Wilbur.
What would he think about this, do you think?
I don't know. Maybe he knows. Who knows? As far as Thomas goes, I was making a documentary film about the British sort of love affair with steam. And this was back in 1979, would you believe? And I came in researching trains and so on. I came across these little books. At that time there were just these 26 little books with simple text and watercolour illustrations. And I just fell in love with them. And I thought, why has nobody ever thought about bringing these stories to life on the screen? So Wilbert Awdry, who created Thomas, or the Railway series of books, came to take part in this film I was making, and I said to him, I would love to bring these stories to life. I'm first and foremost, I'm a storyteller, and my responsibility is to bring the best stories that I can to audiences who will hopefully love the stories that are offered and truly relate to the characters. And then if they do that, then they will want to have those stories and those characters in their life off the screen. This film will make good memories for them, that will make it a shared experience for a family, and that will make a good memory, and that for those who already know Thomas and his friends, they'll get all the best that is familiar to them, and they'll get more that's new to them, and they'll enjoy it. And for those who don't know anything about Thomas, and who are just going to this film because they've heard it's worth going to, they'll be introduced not just to Thomas, but to a whole world of characters in the story. And they too will feel that they've had a good time, that it's making a good memory. Absolutely thrilling. And to any actors, well, all of these actors who are such fine actors, this is the writer in me, for actors of this stature to hear and see them bringing words to life. It's choky time.
I was going to say, it doesn't get much better than that, really.
No,
I wouldn't have
doesn't.
thought.
Well, I think I always felt like a kid playing with a train set, because I've still got the one I had when I was little. But it's quite hard when you have created something, and when you then live with it, to kind of step out totally outside of it and see it as anybody else sees it. So in a way it still comes as a shock if I'm like on the other side of the world in Japan or something, and I'm at an airport and there's a little kid and he's all dressed like Thomas the Tank Engine, he's playing with Thomas the Tank Engine, and it's, wow, here I am and there he is, and it's like there's this huge family that's connected, because everywhere in the world, because they see Thomas as part of their lives, part of the furniture of life, as I like to call it. But I think probably at the heart of it is the fact that there's this magic little guy, Mr. Conductor, who comes and goes in gold dust, and who travels to the island of Sodor. And then there are other characters in the story who find themselves going to this world, to the island of Sodor, to the land of talking trains. So that's part of the storyline, and it's part of what, in bringing the story to life, makes for some of the complexities that we're dealing with, where you've got all this different technology being utilized to the process of storytelling. And Lady is very much a part of the mystery of the story. She's a lost engine, or a legendary engine, and she's very important to finding the solution to the problem that crops up for Mr. Conductor when he completely runs out of gold dust. And then, of course, there are many other characters in the story itself. First and foremost is Lily, who's the 12-year-old girl who is going off to stay with her grandpa, Bernard Stone. Lily's played by Maura Wilson, and Bernard Stone is played by Peter Fonda. And she's reluctant about going in the first place, but she ends up going on this extraordinary journey, which is both geographically an extraordinary journey, and emotionally it turns out to be something of a journey for her and her grandpa. This is towards the end of the story. Diesel 10, who, as Thomas tells us at the beginning of the story, is the 10 being 10 out of 10 for devious deeds and brutal strength, and who has been really beastly to all the engines through the story, and indeed to Mr. Conductor, gets his comeuppance in a major way.
This is the place in the story. I mean, it's just amazing, this whole island. It's how I always imagined the Indian Valley and Muffle Mountain and the little town like Shinetown, how it would all be, and to find it in one landscape, and to be able to actually to come back very close to my own birthplace to find it has been great too. If you can actually tell a story and use what is truly there, whether it be incredible sort of pieces of granite and rock and heatherlands and pasture lands, and it's marvellous. Well, this is actually where Thomas, for the very first time, finds himself totally outside his own particular universe. I mean, he's an engine of the island of Sodor, and in order to help Lily, our heroine, he is extremely courageous, and he goes on what is called the Magic Railroad, which is this magical means to go between his universe, which at one end has the island of Sodor, and at the other end has Shining Time in the Indian Valley. And he comes out at the end of the Magic Railroad, straight out here, and suddenly sees a whole place that is unfamiliar to him. And Lily has to run away to get help. She's going off to find her grandpa, Bernard Stone, and she leaves Thomas there, for the moment, petrified. It's like, you know, when you go to a new city and you have no sense of orientation at all. And it's that moment in the story for Thomas.
Thomas, it's a great film.
If you are shooting Thomas and also involving CGI work, most of the television series, in fact all of the television series, has never relied on any CGI at all. But when you come into the big movie screen, CGI is there to assist. It's not the whole, it's part of the whole. And it's really to be done so the audience doesn't notice that it's been done at all. It's very useful CGI. It's, as I said, it embellishes, it increases, it can achieve certain shots which would be totally impossible in certain circumstances to achieve ourselves, because some of the shots that have to be done are in real landscape situations where you would need the real full-size Thomas to actually perform the act. It's CGI's art that can actually achieve that kind of shot. But it's not to be overused. It's not that kind of movie. On the subject matter of making the models, as we've had a lot of experience from the series, of course, but they have to be replicated in that Old English style. The experts that we bring in, and I consider them experts, are architectural model builders who would actually replicate those kind of things like they do with bridges. The guys who work in metal, the guys who work in plastics, the mold makers, there's a colossal amount of them. There's about a 40 model making team, 40 people at the start of anything, and they're all actually doing all separate things to achieve what you see on there. So some are making trees, some are making landscapes, some are making engines.
Well, there you go. That's the movie, Thomas and the Magic Railroad. And Dee Conn, our guest, in the film plays the station mistress. Morning, Dee.
That's right, Stacey Jones. Hello, Shining Time Station. Stacey Jones here.
So this is a show which has been... We grew up with the in this country, the little animated films voiced by Ringo Starr.
Right.
But in the TV show in America, they have your character and everything. What made you go for that job?
Oh, well, I got a call to say, would you like to be in a show with Ringo Starr? And I said, Ringo, the Beatle? Ringo Starr? I'm there. And that was it. And he's a great guy, wonderful man, beautiful wife. And it was a pleasure. We did it for 10 years. And then George Carlin took over. And now Alec Baldwin.
So now you're making the film of a very, very famous British character.
Oh, yeah, Thomas. Thomas looks so great on the screen. He's a star. Yeah, it's beautiful.
No, it is.
Well, Britt Allcroft, it was her idea to do the series and now to do the film, and she wrote it and directed it and produced it, and it's just beautiful.
And it's not going to be too American, forgive me, for British kids. They'll still get the stories and enjoy it.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, yes. I think that she did a tremendous tribute to Thomas, and his reputation is intact. He is very, very reliable and a really useful engine.
Do we have a wee look at Thomas?
Let's have a look at Thomas.
Let's have a look at Thomas. So he's not the fat controller.
No.
Oh, he's the svelte Mr. Conductor.
Because I wondered when he got the part, I thought, God, that's very brave of him.
Alec Baldwin.
No, he's Mr. Conductor. Yeah,
Right.
and he's losing his magic in the movie and his sparkles, and we have to help him to find it.
There's another major star of the Thomas the Tank Engine movie. It's someone you'll never have heard of before. His wife and his children have heard of him. Who cares about Alec Baldwin? Who cares about Peter Fonda? It's John Bellis. He is the voice of Thomas the Lead Engine. That's the plum role in the whole movie, isn't it, really?
It is, yeah.
And you were an absolute unknown, doing your job on the Isle of Man, where you were a firefighter.
Yeah.
And take the story from there.
A friend of mine asked me would I do an airport run as he was busy.
In his cab, yeah? So
Yeah.
you're a cabbie for a day.
I picked up this lady from the airport who I didn't know, took her to a hotel. When she stopped at the hotel, she said to me...
And you were talking all the way.
Yeah,
doing
just chatting, telling
cabbie,
her
yeah.
what part of the Isle of Man we were going through, and she said to me, would I, if she gave me a ring tomorrow, would I pick her up and take her to town? So she rung me up, and I picked her up, took her to town. She had a coffee, come back in, and we're driving along the promenade in Douglas. And she said to me, I've got something to ask you. Now, I thought it was going to be somewhere like, you know, where's such and such a place? And she said, would you like to audition for the voice of Thomas the Tank? So then I realised it was Britt Allcroft.
Who was the director that Jackie just showed us there.
Yes, and wrote the movie.
Yeah.
And I said, well, not really knowing the size of what was happening, I said, anything I can do to help, you know, no problem at all.
Yeah. Oh.
So she said to me, would I come up for a reading? So I read, just like you would a newspaper.
Yeah.
And then she said to me, I'll just stop you there. She said, I used to do this with Ringo Starr.
Who we all remember as the voice of Thomas.
He narrated it, yeah. And she said to me, would I do it this way? And then I realised what was getting involved with. She sort of settled me down, put me at ease. And I done it and walked out.
Yeah.
And then it was like a 2-day wait. And she rung me up and offered me the job.
John Bellis, you are Thomas the Tank Engine. And so have you done it yet? Have you actually recorded the sound?
I went to Toronto early September, and we'd done the guide track for the models. And then I've got to go back again in March to put the finishing touches to it.
It's brilliant, isn't it?
Yeah.
I bet your mate's sick, actually, that you did his job for a day and you end up with a plum movie role.
He is. Well, mind you, he's not a Scouser anyway.
Right. So he wouldn't have entranced her in the same way that you did. And you've got 2 children as well, haven't you? They must be pretty impressed, because what are they, 10 and 8, is it?
11 and 9.
Oh, 11 and 9, right. Just a year out either side, but never mind.
Well, Thomas the Tank Engine has always been part of the furniture of life.
Yeah.
Everybody's had something to do with him. I've read books with the children, and they've looked at videos. They've had slippers and duvet covers. So it's all a big part of life.
Yeah, they might be wearing slippers with your head on very soon,
I
mightn't
wouldn't
they?
have thought so.
All right. It was lovely to see you, John, and congratulations. It's great, isn't it? What a lovely story.
And John, they've had Ringo Starr and Michael Angelis doing the voice before you, and they're both from, if not Liverpool, certainly the northwest. They're somewhere. Are you a Manx man, born and bred?
No, I'm from Liverpool originally.
Oh, right.
I've been on the Isle of Man 23 years.
Yeah.
But I am from Liverpool.
Yeah, still with the
I could
accent,
detect that. Yeah, something there. Well, well done, John.
Thank you.
Hope it lasts for many years to come.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we must send our commiserations to your mate that you stood in for the day.
Well, as you know, Ringo Starr, he's the voice you hear in the TV series, of course. But for the new film, the voice comes from this man here. It's John Bellis, and it's great to see you, John. And it all came about the most extraordinary way. Tell me how you got the part.
A friend of mine, he's got a taxi business, asked me he couldn't make an appointment at the airport. Would I pick somebody up from the airport?
This is in the Isle of Man?
It's in the Isle of Man, yeah. So off a trot in the vehicle to get him, get the passenger, pick the passenger up, drop them to the hotel. And the lady, before I knew it was Britt Allcroft, said to me, if I'm not doing anything tomorrow, we'll pick her up and drop her into town.
Right.
She wants to have a look around the shops. So I did, and she was chatting to me all the time. She was very nice. She had a coffee in town, come back in the car, asked me would I take her back to the hotel. And we're driving along the promenade, and she said to me, would you like to read for the part of Thomas the Tank Engine in the new movie?
What did you think? Do you think this is the weirdest chat-up line I've ever had in my whole life?
Yeah. No, I said, well, not realising what the part was, not putting two and two together, I sort of said, well, anything I can do when you're over here to help, I'll help.
Sure. And there you are, and you got the part. You read for it, and you're now up there with the likes of Alec Baldwin and all those superstars doing the stuff.
Yeah.
That's great. Had you ever done anything like that before?
No, not at all.
Nothing at all?
No.
What was it, do you think, about your voice that she really liked?
I think Thomas the Tank Engine has been associated with a Liverpool accent, and I think it was the accent that done it.
Right, probably, yeah, when she sort of picked up on that. So in the movie, we've seen that it's live action.
Sure.
But will the wee trains, will they have faces that sort of talk? Will the trains talk?
Each train has got a voice.
Right.
Because it used to be narrated by one person.
That's right, yeah.
Well, each train's having a voice now.
Oh, I see, I think it'd be really good. I mean, you've got kids, haven't you?
I have, yes.
What do they think?
They were delighted. Because everybody's used to Thomas the Tank, he's part of the furniture of life, everybody's got bits and pieces from him, so they're delighted.
That's wonderful. God, it's amazing how these things happen, isn't it? I mean, I bet you never thought in a million years that was going to happen to you.
Not at all, no.
Well, listen, will you come back in and see us once it's all premiered, and you can come back and tell us what it was like, all the glitziness and the glamour?
Yeah.
John, it's great to see you, and well done.
Thank you.
Extraordinary story, that's amazing. Right, that's all for today.
Almost sort of pluck from obscurity to fame potentially here. Tell me what happened.
A friend of mine asked me would I do an airport pickup for them. I went out in my own car, picked up this lady who I didn't know, I've never seen before in my life, took her to a hotel, and on the way to the hotel she said to me would I be available tomorrow to drop her into town, her and an assistant, to do a bit of shopping. I said yeah, no problem at all, I'll do that gladly. I got a call, would I take her down to town? So I dropped them into town. They went to a coffee bar, come back. In the meantime, when they were in town, I made a few inquiries to find out who it was, and it was Britt Allcroft, who I recognised, with having children, as being, at the time I knew it was something to do with Thomas the Tank Engine series. They come back in the car, we're driving along Douglas Promenade, and she said to me, I've got something to ask you. I said, well, yeah, fire away. And she said to me, would I be interested in reading for the voice of Thomas the Tank Engine in the up-and-coming movie? Well, at this point, not realising how big an opportunity it was and how big a show it's going to be, I sort of said, well, anything I can do, I'll sort of help you. So I dropped them off for the day, and she said he was going to call me for an audition. So I got the call to go in for the audition. Off I went, sat in a conference room at the local hotel, and she gave me a script to read, and I was a bag of nerves. I was actually shaking from head to toe. And she said to me, just read it. So I, not being experienced, just read it like you would read a newspaper. And she stopped me there. She said, when I used to do this with Ringo Starr, I used to read it to him, and he used to read it back to me. So we'll try that. And then I realised, what I was up for. She sort of calmed me down. She had this influence and presence. Like, me nerves seemed to go right out the window. I read it, half an hour or so, and she said, "Okay, that's fine, bye-bye." So I went out of the room thinking, well, at least I can tell the kids have read for the voice of Thomas the Tank Engine. I got a phone call 5 o'clock, a couple of days after 5 o'clock in the morning. She said, the part's yours if you want it.
Excellent. And did you think we all right with that? Give me your money.
I know. I knew you were going to say that.
I was waiting
Sorry.
for a chance. No, it's all right. I'm sure. If you take your hands out of your pocket,
Yeah.
brilliant. You won't.
No.
You won't see that.
I've got some checks.
Shoot your watch. Yeah, you're all right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. My wallet's gone.
Okay. Did you think it was a kind of a wind-up, or?
I never thought it was a wind-up. But when I made inquiries who the lady was and who I did eventually pick up, I realised it had to be true.
And being a father, as you say, you're obviously aware of the Liverpudlian sort of links already to Thomas.
Well, on the father side, everybody, it's part of the furniture of life, Thomas the Tank Engine. Everybody has had something, some way, shape or form to do with it. Yeah, it's just it's amazing. I'm still shell-shocked, really.
And how's it going to change your life? I mean, is this, we're here on a Hollywood film set, albeit in the Isle of Man, is this your future?
Not at this present time. No, it's not. I'm just looking forward to working with Britt because she's a fantastic lady, and whatever leads from it, we'll just wait and see.
And so, what has to happen now?
A week Sunday, the 29th, I fly out to Toronto. I do a day's rehearsals, and then we do the studio work for 2 days. I come back here, get back to normal, and then April I'm off again to do some more work.
Right. So it's kind of not just going to be over in one quick...
No, it's going to be spread over 6 months, 6 or 7 months.
Right. And what do your family think about it? What do the kids think about it?
They didn't believe me at first when I told them. They sort of said I was winding them up, so on and so forth. But now we've been down to the set, they've met Britt, and they're supportive.
Right. So can you let us in on what sort of things, you presumably have seen the script then, so you know the story, do you?
I've only seen the script briefly, and it's a fantastic story and it's very magical.
Right. And with the influence that Ringo Starr had and then Michael had when he took over from Ringo, are you kind of listening to the tapes now thinking, oh yeah, no, I can...
No, when Britt told me she told me to go home and have a look at the video, I said to her, how do you want me to project my voice? And she said, just the way you are now, just normal.
Right. And do you genuinely think that it came from her hearing your voice in the cab? I mean, can't have really happened any other way.
I couldn't have done, no, because I'd never met the lady beforehand. It's just been talking when I dropped her into town, yeah.
Incredible. And presumably, if you don't mind me asking, I mean, you presumably got a decent tip from her for the taxi ride, but presumably this is going to line your pocket a little better than that journey down the promenade.
Absolutely.
And cut there. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Okay, just think if there's anything else that we ought to. Okay, what about the actual technical side? Anybody told you about, the fact you have to have headphones on, and are you actually going to see some of the movie as it's...
We haven't discussed that yet. I know we're going into a studio to do the work, and I'm doing a day with Britt on her own on the Monday, so I will be put straight on those technicalities then.
Right. Now the sort of the does it make you proud to be Liverpudlian? This is this. Do you think it's a good sort of? I mean, so much of the voiceover work is centred on London or Los Angeles and things like that. Do you think this is one up for the north?
Well, yeah, it's fantastic for Liverpool, and it's also fantastic for the Isle of Man because I've lived here for 22 years. Yeah, for both regions, yeah, it's fantastic.
The tale of Thomas, Percy, Gordon and other engines, the central characters in Reverend Audrey's children's stories about a train yard, is to be made into a multi-million-pound film. It'll feature the voices of Hollywood greats such as Peter Fonda and Alec Baldwin, alongside that of an ordinary fireman from the Isle of Man. John Bellis, who's also a taxi driver, unexpectedly steamed into the lead role. He did what he thought was a routine pickup from the airport. In the event, it turned out to be an audition for the star part.
It's fantastic. Everybody, I'm a bit shell-shocked still, to be honest with you. I've got to keep pinching myself, realising that it's happened. All the lads at work, they're really supportive. The management at work are really supportive, and they're all going around singing Thomas the Tank tunes.
Filming for Thomas and the Magic Railroad begins in Peel on the Isle of Man next month, with the film set to come out in a year's time. By then, John Bellis will have returned to his work as a fire officer on the island. Rachel Ellison, BBC News.
And in Mara Wilson's new movie, her co-stars are Alec Baldwin and a tank engine called Thomas. Welcome.
Thanks, yeah.
You're feeling exhausted, you poor old thing.
I'm a little bit tired.
Wait,
Yeah.
you flew in yesterday?
Yeah, we had to fly through the night. It was about 10 hours on a plane, so...
Did you get much sleep, or was...
No, not really.
No, wide awake?
No.
Who'd you come over with?
Just my dad and my sister.
Right.
Well, that's nice. And now you're on a big round of interviews and everything else. How do you handle this at the tender age of 12?
I really don't know. I've been doing it for a while, and I kind of get used to it, I guess.
I think your first job was, weren't you 5?
Yes, I was 5 when I made Mrs. Doubtfire.
Incredible, isn't it? So 7 years already, 3 big major movies, and the 4th is Thomas the Tank. So tell us about Thomas the Tank, because those pictures look very like the television series that we know and love, so it's kept faithful. And yet we have the Fat Controller, but we don't have the Fat Controller with you anymore, do we?
No, we don't. We have Sir Topham Hatt and Mr. Conductor, and so I guess not.
Not politically correct, I think, perhaps.
Did you see the original versions, the ones that kind of, were made famous here before going all over the world?
Well, they used to have a series in the United States called Shining Time Station, and they had little clips of Thomas, and they also had this whole other thing. They had like little clips of Thomas and all kinds of things. So I used to watch that. So I've seen that before.
So yeah, and did you read any of the stories?
Oh, I can't remember. Probably.
Yeah, we're totally addicted to them in our house. But
Yeah,
anyway,
yeah.
so tell us about your character.
Okay, my character's name is Lily. She's this little girl that goes to visit her grandfather. And her grandfather's been really sad because her grandmother died a couple years ago. And he's very alone, and when she goes there, she gets on the wrong train. So she ends up at Shining Time Station, and all this like magical stuff starts happening, and I'm not going to give too much away.
No.
Yeah.
When does it open?
July 14th, I think, yeah.
Right.
Shall we have another look at the clip? Yeah, we've got another clip. We'll have a look at this.
Did you get to meet Thomas the Tank Engine, or was it all kind of your blue screen
No, it
and
was
all graphics?
No,
and
we were pretty much looking at a mark.
Yeah.
You know, they have like a piece of orange tape that you're staring at. Yeah.
And how did you find working with that way? Because that's something you hadn't really done before.
No, I've done it a couple times before. Actually, we used to do that. We did that while we were filming Matilda. You know, we had to look at like big sticks with pieces of tape on them. So I guess you kind of get used to it after a while. But it's still kind of weird. You're pretending to be talking to a train, and really all there is a piece of tape.
Yeah, you have to pretend big train there. And of course you're in the film with Alec Baldwin, but the list of stars you've worked with already. So give us the gossip then. Come on, embarrassing moments. We want
Who's
some.
the gorgeous and the nice ones and the embarrassing ones?
Yes.
I don't know. I don't think that would be fair. So
No? Well,
you're
Dick-
too professional.
Exactly. Well, Dickie Attenborough, what does he call you? He called you a magician, a rogue, and a villain, and all the tricks of the trade that you really need. Well, how would you describe yourself? Which one of those would you like best?
What do you mean?
Well, that's what he called you. Can you had all these attributes?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Really? Well, there you go. High praise indeed from the man. It must have been great working with him, though.
Yeah.
He must have
Yeah,
taught
it
you a
was.
lot.
Yeah.
That was on Miracle on 34th Street, wasn't it?
Yeah,
What
he was
about
great.
schoolwork in amongst all this? How do you fit that in?
Well, we have a studio teacher on the set, or a tutor on the set to work with us. So we go for like 3 hours a day, and for 20 minutes at a time, and we work at that. And it's kind of hard because I also go to a public school back in California, so it's kind of hard to go back and forth. But you know, we send up work, and so
It's fun when you get to travel a lot. We didn't really know I didn't at least know who he was at first, because first we were just kind of reading around. And it's like, oh my God. I was like, oh my God, that guy was playing my grandpa.
Lily is a little girl that lives in the big city, you know, with her parents. She likes it, you know, she likes it there because it's really just, I don't know, the noise is kind of comforting to her, you know. And she goes to visit her grandpa, and he's very quiet man, keeps to himself, and everything's very quiet, and she doesn't like that. On the Isle of Man, it was just beautiful, like Grandpa's house. I love that because, you know, the blue ocean and the green rolling hills, and it's just, you know, just gorgeous. You know, just great. It does challenge your imagination, and it's kind of funny though, you know, when you're supposed to be pretending you're like on this, like I'd have to be pretending that I was on the magical island and stuff. I'd be looking around to see like lights and dust and yeah, a bunch of men standing there with lights, and it's kind of funny. I used to watch Shining Time Station when I was really little, and yeah, I can like vaguely remember it. And one time my cousin, he was obsessed with Thomas, you know. He sent me a coloring book of it when I was like 6.
For you, I mean, are your friends at school can you be very jealous of the new friends that you have?
My friends can be pretty
jealous
jealous.
of me, right?
Oh yeah, they're all in love with him. They're all in love with him, yeah. They want to come to the LA premiere so they can see him.
I'm only 18, so I mean,
Yeah.
it's not that much difference, you know.
You got it. Yeah, Mr. Stud. No, it's been great, and they are kind of jealous of it. You know, we're meeting all these people when I was so little. Yeah, I have a tutor on the set, and I had some really good ones on this show. Yeah, Lori. Yeah, Lori was my tutor. She's a really good friend of mine. On the weekends, my guardians, sort of Lori and Lucy and Michael and I would all go shopping. Anyway,
And spend all our money that we earn.
Pretty No, but anyway, you have a teacher on the set, and they work with you and send work back and forth from schools, and it can get pretty hard sometimes. But
do you have time to just play and be a normal child with your friends?
Yeah, I do have sometimes, you know, when I'm filming, and you know, I used to like call my friends. Oh, their parents must hate me now because they used to call them long distance from the Isle of Man.
Plus email, you're a big email.
Oh, definitely. I'm such an internet addict, definitely. And so I'm always emailing them. I don't know.
You write stories, and she's an avid reader. And I mean, this is a smart girl we're talking to.
Privilege. Thank you.
Get to be a kid again, right? Who doesn't love that?
Well, with me are Michael Rogers. Michael, you were playing Junior there, a bit too playful by all accounts. Got yourself into trouble. Oh, Thomas?
I did, yeah.
What was it like playing that part? Was it really difficult?
Not really. I think that there's very few of us in life that don't want to be kids again, you know, so it was an opportunity to go back and have fun and be completely uninhibited by anything. You know, there was no, in that world that Britt created, there was no restrictions around my character anyway. I could do as I pleased. Be mischievous and definitely.
Most of the time you could do as you pleased.
No, yeah.
Until you pulled it in. But technically was it difficult? Because Thomas wasn't there for you, I suppose.
No, it wasn't particularly difficult for me because, you know, I've done quite a bit of theatre and, you know, basic theatre especially, you know, for free in America, and you're working most of the time on a bare stage. So it's not, I think, real test of the imagination.
I think that there's a part of him that is definitely the child that I wished I could have been, and that's the magic about being in movies, is that you can often go back and relive parts of your life that you didn't really have a chance to go through experientially as you were growing up. Because when you're a little kid, you're like a sponge, and when you see a train who, to a child, is a person, is a real living thing as far as Thomas is concerned, who is in a dilemma, and he tries everything he possibly can to get himself out of that dilemma and comes out smiling on the other end. That children remember that. Children are extremely astute and smart. As somebody was saying to me, a child is not a child, they're just a small person. You know, and when you give to the society in ways of stories and moral tales and instill people with optimism, I think that's a wonderful, wonderful thing, because we don't have enough of it. As Britt said, you know, children are just little people. It doesn't mean to say that they don't have a mind of their own where they can't think. And you know, the minute you start treating them like children, it doesn't. They don't care as much. Do you know what I mean?
If I actually stopped to think, oh, here I am, Mr. Michael Rogers, working
coming from Scotland and working on the movie with Alec and Peter and Mara, I would start to freak myself out, because you start to think, okay, but in this movie, Peter is the little girl's grandpa and Alec is my cousin, and that's what they are in the movie to me. Right. And I think that because Britt has gathered such a lovely cast of people who are all willing to put their all into it, all of a sudden it doesn't matter what your name is.
Well, I have a 5-year-old son who, you know, gave him a subscription to the Thomas magazine, so he got that every month, very enthusiastic about that and going through it. So I knew about it from that, and he started wanting all the Thomas Tank Engine characters. Britt and I spent a great deal of time, weeks and months ahead of this, to going through pictures that she had and come up with a look of how the film should look, just the mood of the film. And she's very enthusiastic about what she's talking about and very able to communicate her emotions and in visual terms. My job is to take these visual, emotional descriptions that she says, that she comes up with, and to figure out how to translate those into lenses and filters and angles. And that was the great thing about working with Britt. She's very quick to respond to something on a very spontaneous level. You know, once you start filming, you know, even though you have things planned out, you always have to listen to the film is talking back to you as it evolves. You know, and you have to listen to what the location says to you at any given moment. And to have that freedom is sort of like a child's way of, you know, being spontaneous, you know, and it's very enjoyable. And hopefully that's come across with most of the crew. I mean, everybody kind of gets enthusiastic about it. And they're responding. And sometimes it means running frantically up a hill to get something, but you do, and it's worth it, you know.
I've always wanted to do a children's film. Well, this is where I've hidden Lady, the magic engine, and I've hidden her for good reason. Because back comes the bad guy who hurt her to begin with, and he's trying to find her. Tears apart the mountain trying to find her, tries to blow it up, in fact. But this is my secret workshop. And even though I've said on film already, and my character says I don't like trains, I don't want to hear them, everything, I've closed myself off. But there's some part of me that still comes up here all the time. This is, for me, symbolic of the fact that my wife, Tasha, Lily's grandmother, perhaps died 3 or 5 years ago. The kids have talked, they've heard this whistling, they've heard the train, and I keep saying, you heard wrong, there's no train. I don't hear anything because I don't want to hear that, I don't like trains, yet I'm reading The Romance of Railroad. So there's part of me that keeps that going. That life that I had with my wife, Tasha, that was so magical, and she believed in it, we didn't have any problems. When I told her that somebody named Mr. Conductor came and took me off to a magic island called Sodor where trains talk to each other, she had no problem with that. So this is a very important moment when I start to decide I've got to do something because everything depends upon her being able to move. It's Britt's movie. You can read the script and understand she knows what she's doing. To me, it's a parallel for having a belief in family, having a belief in yourself. It made me appreciate the script because it's an entirely different story than any of the Thomas the Tank Engine stories. This is this is a departure, but not from the reality of Thomas and what he's, or the magic and whatever the imagination is there. It's just a deeper look. A man who is shutting himself out of the world. And in this particular story, shutting himself out of the world of magic, yet not really completely, but getting so close that by the time my granddaughter arrives, and the story actually begins with her then coming to me, she is the impetus that saves me from giving up on magic, giving up on life, which brings us right back to Thomas the Magic Railroad, because things have gotten messed up real badly. We don't have a lot of time. We have to get it right, and we depend upon Grandpa Stone to come to his senses and get on the right track. I was curious as why we were going all the way to the Isle of Man to shoot this, and my curiosity literally ended today doing this scene when I saw one of the steam trains come by. I have a grandson, Thomas, who's got Thomas the Train. And Mr. Conductor sits up in the cab, and you push Mr. Conductor down, and the train scoots forward. You push him down, scoots forward. And I thought it was great. I'd like to do this kind of film. I've always wanted to do a children's film. It satisfies the child in me.
When I first read this script, and I told Britt this, the thing that was my first consideration was how do we marry these two worlds so that it seems like one movie and not cutting from two different movies back and forth. And I now have a sense of how that's going to work. Part of it has to do with the color palette, the playfulness in terms of color that Britt has included, and also part of it has to do with just Britt's own special she finds little vignettes to do in the real world that give it a playful quality that I think will help it sort of tie into the toy world we go into when we go into Thomas and the models. When you're shooting the models, you have to keep the green screen process in mind, and when you're doing the green screen, you have to keep in mind what's already been done as plates on the model set. So as a result, you don't have all the freedom you might have, and I think one of the challenges that you experience, and I think one of the challenges for the director, is to, in some way, sort of fool yourself into thinking that you really do have all the freedom in the world within the confines of a fairly narrowly defined set of parameters to shoot once you've got a plate shot and you have to shoot green screen.
Well, I think that Thomas and the Magic Railroad shows that little engines can do big things, with the help of their friends. Oh, the Magic Railroad is a secret connection between Shining Time and the island of Sodor. Diesel 10 is the big bully that doesn't like steam engines, and he's trying to take away the magic from the island of Sodor. In Thomas and the Magic Railroad, Mr. Conductor, Lily, and Grandpa Burnett help me and the other steam engines restore the magic and order. Oh, well, Thomas and the Magic Railroad is definitely the biggest, most exciting adventure I have had so far. I had a lot of fun with Percy and all the other engines. Plus, it was neat to have people from Shining Time, like Lily and Grandpa Burnett, visit us on the island of Sodor. Well, I think both children and parents enjoy my adventures, because together we go to places of fun and magic. In Thomas and the Magic Railroad, Grandpa needs to be reminded about the magic in all of our lives. Mr. Conductor makes sure everything is in order between Shining Time and the island of Sodor. In Thomas and the Magic Railroad, the magic is fading, and I have to be a really useful engine that helps Mr. Conductor find a way to preserve the magic. In Thomas and the Magic Railroad, Mr. Conductor and all of us engines believe in the 3 R's. It is important to be reliable, responsible, and really useful.
She wanted from the very beginning to bring a little bit American style, a little bit American details, because it's something very precious for her, because she's American right now, and she wanted to do that.
Are you enjoying yourself on set? Is it a good film? Saying, okay. And have you met Thomas yet? No? Are you going to one day? Oh, right. You should have told me that first. And is it good fun being in the movies? Oh, obviously. And do you get paid lots of money? Okay, brilliant. Thank you very much indeed. Excellent.
It's set in America, but we're doing it in the Isle of Man, and we have to bring all our clothes down and let them choose something out that looks American.
Gets into the river and he's got a digger and a snap. He's always been my favourite.
I think all parents that have young children really relate to this.
The conductor, because it was really funny. Thomas the Tank Engine. I like Thomas. Diesel was my favourite character. When Diesel fell off the bridge, he can spark his way out of the claw. I liked his cousin, the junior one. He eventually got the gold dust. The magic railroad train. Lady came alive. Lady came alive.
I think a lot of the popularity is to do with the fact that people of my generation grew up with it as children, and it sort of represents recognisable values which they want to pass on to their children. Certainly my two are fascinated with it.
It is excellent. It's
flabbergasting.
Flabbergasting? That's quite a description. Why was it flabbergasting?
Well, I mean, a Thomas film, I mean, you'd never expect real, actual, live people to actually take part in the actual film, so I just thought that was amazing, I mean, how they could put the graphics together.